We are blind. In this conference, we are going to give you proofs of why we have been so wrong. Why entrepreneurs make more mistakes than good decisions. Why are we so wrong? Why is it so too hard to be successful in the business world? I was tired of guessing. The story begins when a former publicist, that's me, left me advertising job after several years because I was experiencing a strong ethical conflict. I was handling millions of dollars in budgets, and we believed we were making campaigns that were going to be successful. We were making decisions on products and service, strategic decisions that we thought will work. When you manage that much money along with client approval for new products to be launched, a new campaign, a new business strategy, or a new business plan, it makes you wonder. I used to lay awake at night and ask myself, Jürgen, if that was your money, would you do it? I usually said no. But since I was in the business of trying to help these companies, I had to say it was the right strategy. When we began to really experience the ethical conflict, my partner and I decided to get out of this industry. At the beginning, we were some marketeers and a couple of advertisers who decided to venture on a journey to understand why people say one thing and do another. We knew this was going to be a long journey, a very risky one and difficult. We needed to be really passionate about creating this method because for years we would not be earning any money. Our goal was to discover who had the answer. I like to clarify at this point that I'm not a neurologist, psychologist, or anthropologist. I am a director, the president of a company dedicated to innovate and manage hundreds of anthropologists, psychologists, biologists, neuroscientists, and neuropsychologists, but do not want to be them because I'm not a neuroscientist. My mission was to understand from a business perspective how the human mind functions from the respective neurobiology and social science. That's how and why me and my teamwork with all this full staff, advertisers, communication professionals that have dedicated what they know about the human mind, the science of cognitive decision process, and we teach them what we knew about the business and innovation. Together we could create a methodology that has the ability to scientifically understand the subconscious decision of the human mind. That is what the conference is all about. Let me give you some evidence why I say that we are blind. Of every 10 television ads that are produced, only 4 meet the customer's expectation. Of every 10 new products launched, only 2 reach the planned objective. Of every 10 products launched, only 5 are successful. We have more failures than success. Too often we are wrong. You may believe that all industries are wrong, but no. In the world of marketing and advertising, and in the world of innovation, we are the #1 industry in being wrong. Pilots and doctors are not as wrong as we are. We are the most blind of all industries. And that is what this conference deals with, and what is full focused on. My hope is that in just 1 hour, it should open your eyes to see it in a different way, and that when tomorrow arrives, you will think and work with a different vision in order to understand the consumers to be more effective. 94% of innovation methods in the world fail. Only 6% work. That means that innovation has 94% statistical chance of failing. Let me give you some examples or some cases of brands that are on my list of most blind. For example, Kodak. I would like to ask the audience to tell me who has seen television ads or billboards of Kodak brand in the past 4 years. No one? Okay. Shocking. Kodak was one of the most visible brands less than 10 years ago. Today, the question is, what does Kodak mean in people's lives? And it doesn't mean what it meant 10 years ago. What happened? They were so blind that they never saw the real need of consumers. And not doing so, they weren't able to innovate and transform themselves to the new digital era. They lost the race. Barbie and Bratz. Barbie is 50 years old. Bratz is only a few years old. And in only 5 years, and in many countries, Bratz almost tied Barbies in sales. It's funny because those of you who are the Barbie generation like Barbie more than Bratz. Many of you think that Bratz dolls look malicious and say, I'm not going to buy my daughter a Bratz. What happens is that you are Barbie and your little girls are Bratz. They do not want to be friends with Barbie, but rather Bratz, and there is an explanation of why this is happening. This example is even more surprising because the story is that an employee of Mattel designed the first Bratz, but Mattel never understood the idea. They were blind. Just like many of us also get frustrated in the world of innovation. He left Mattel and sold Bratz to another company, and in a few years, and in many countries, Bratz became more popular. It was brought to trial, and the Bratz owner lost the lawsuit. Mattel showed that Mattel did the design with the premise of Mattel during work hour paid to the designer. Motorola. How many of you have a Motorola phone? Hands up. Amazing. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We are like 1,000 persons or more. And from those 1,000, there's only like 7, 8, 9 at the most people that have Motorola. Hands up, who has BlackBerry? About 70%. Now look at this case. Who had Motorola 4 years ago? Raise your hands. 80%. Look at that. Motorola became blind and lost all of us in the new era of the touch phones. Does Motorola have bad technology? No. And I think BlackBerry has bad technology. But they do give me something I don't get from Motorola, at least for now. You have to know it has been proven in studies that Motorola has better technology and gives you much more than BlackBerry. The question is why we don't want Motorola and why we do want BlackBerry. If we throw in iPhone, that begins to change the game, but we'll talk that about. The funny thing is that a computer company that had their eyes open for opportunities and entered the era of new cell phones and became the second really fast-growing company. I think this year iPhone will be the #1 in the world. This race is to open eyes, and this conference for sure will open your eyes. The Coca-Cola company has hundreds of brands, but most are not as important to the consumer as they were in the past. For example, Fanta and I are not such great friends now. When I was 7, we all loved Fanta. I do a lot of research for children, and I don't see those kids emotionally connected, at least not in this country. Things were different at those times. Many of those brands are no longer around, not as popular, or do not mean as much to consumers like in the past. They continue to sell them because they are riding on the back of their big brother Coca-Cola. And we all consider them marketing gurus. PepsiCo, Tropicana, decide to change their packaging. Here on the left side. They did tests with focus group to check if people were willing to buy the new packaging. They proved that people were willing to, and they liked the new packaging. It was modern, it was cool, even the lid was unique. They launched the new look, and sales fell approximately 20% in only a couple of months. What are business leaders really thinking? What kind of techniques, methodologies, and vision do they apply to fall in those mistakes? Obviously, an expert can see things sharper. But it's not so hard to understand that they could have changed everything, including the logo. But my knowledge and my hypothesis tells me that the only thing they should remain is the image of the straw embedded into the orange. That means freshness. Do you think this means anything in people's minds? Natural? Fresh? It can mean many things in the human mind for sure. Probably you can modify everything except that. Especially in an era when consumers think they're hunting for something natural and fresh. This blindness makes you lose absolute objectivity. I'm not saying they shouldn't change their identity. On the contrary, I promote packaging innovation, rebranding and renewing sales strategy, but don't ask two people what to do, because not even me, dedicated to this for 50 years, know what I want consciously. For all those who believe that way to get results is only to cut costs. Take a look at this example. American Airlines began a strategy to deliver results through cost cutting. They disappeared almost everything, blankets, the drinks, the food. Maybe they even thought in disappearing the pilot, but this was impossible. Let's rethink the giving free of peanuts. What shall we do with peanuts? They are a problem, and they cost a lot of money. It wasn't exactly peanuts, but it was expensive to pick up them from the floor. But here is what is really interesting. While American Airlines was concerned about cutting off peanuts, their competitors JetBlue and Southwest Airlines were focused on getting millionaire financing from bankers to be able to share TV on every plane, so passengers could watch TV for free. Some also changed into leather seats. The managers who believed that the best was to deliver results for company is to take away things and lower costs will soon see that they will only achieve to scare away their customers, and they will run away. McDonald's. This had been a very polemic business case. As less than 9 years, they began to lose consumers. People did not want to go anymore to McDonald's. The surprising thing in this case is that they began to investigate ex-consumers, why they didn't want to come to McDonald's and more. And the answers were obvious. Your burgers are greasy and fattening. With this info, top executive who handled the business strategy decided to start cooking burgers with less fat, less bacon, less oil, and make them much more healthy. That is why the product menu changed and grew so much, which is where McDonald's salads and others came in. But the strange thing is that although they start making products that consumer requested, these consumers did not return as they thought. They lost millions of dollars in those years, and what makes this more surprising is that in the same year, Burger King, their main competitor, decided to do the opposite. Huge hamburgers, more melted cheese, and greasy bacon. In fact, they invented the concept called Double Stacker. Double Stacker is a hamburger that was very successful in a few months. Double Stacker is a 2-floor, huge pieces of hamburger, name that means big. The success went to Triple Stacker, their burger, and after they went to 4 pieces, and the people were so happy with these giant hamburgers. The question is, what happened to all the people who wanted to eat healthy burgers? In my experience working for Frito-Lay, consumer research with nutritional trends and behavior, we discovered that they couldn't believe what people are telling you. The truth is not what you say, but what you feel. When you want to eat a hamburger, that is a special moment that you want to choke down a hamburger. And that's when the hamburger should be the burger. Let's take a look to this company, this business case. This restaurant is called a Heart Attack Grill, which means the grill where you could get a heart attack. The owner of this place believed that people is lying, that people really wants to eat food with grease. They want to eat garbage. Sometimes they want to kill themselves. They are all lies. And this is a concept that proves that people doesn't want to eat healthy stuff. He sells and he created a concept where he gives people fries in lard, unfiltered cigarette, and if you eat the quadruple bypass burger, 2 waitresses lead you to your car in a wheelchair. The place is successful. Do people really know what they want? No, people do not know what they want. The Sony Walkman is in problems. iPod kicked their ass, which doesn't surprise me. I just found out that Samsung has just become the brand that sells smart televisions in the world. Goodbye, Sony TVs. The question is, when will Sony open their eyes again? They were definitely open in the 80s, but what happened? Look at this example. Apple and the IBM ThinkPad. ThinkPad was one of the best-selling notebooks in the world. What is so interesting is that even though the company was not broke, they decided to go out of business. I guess they were not doing so well, and so then they sold the sub-brand to the Chinese, to a brand called Lenovo, which is now Lenovo ThinkPad. It is clear that ThinkPad has a stronger brand than Lenovo, but I doubt it caused the same excitement than Apple brand did. The funny thing is that IBM ThinkPad left the market and gave their brand to Lenovo to start a different business. If you look at ThinkPad logo here, IBM ThinkPad, it is upside down. Yet Apple puts its logo right in front of you, which helps its brands, and you say, see, I have an Apple. They invested in a great big Apple that even lights up. But if I had come to the board of IBM and I had said, we have to invest $1 in every computer, putting in a larger logo type and light it up, for sure, the board's members will probably have me kicked out. Because I'm sure they won't invest $50 million a year for those little apples with lights on it. I'm sure they wouldn't do it. That's what happens when you don't understand what things means and you're blind to human subconscious needs. Purely financial and rational strategy are too dangerous and make you mistake. How relevant are insurance agents through the world? I am the coach for several worldwide insurance companies, and everyone tells me that insurance agents are the most sales strategy of the company. If you have good insurance agents, you have good business. A sensible visionary decide, I do not want insurance agents anymore because they take around 12% of my business. He sent them home and replaced them by a lizard called the Geico lizard. Geico is now the #1 company in the US in auto, mobile, and motorcycle insurance. Why do we like Geico so much? Because it has big eyes and wide forehead. Something that has a deep and emotional connection for us, like a puppy. This is a survival principle. So if you want to be good marketeers and business people, start reading about biology. Biology is the only answer. The rest is subjective. And biology is not going to see change for at least in the next 350 years. Let me explain to you guys the survival concept. Neoteny, a biological survival principle, gives puppies have big eyes and a big forehead, which connects us to them emotionally. This is a biological survival need. The young are born with big eyes and big foreheads, which makes us feel tenderness toward them. First, this makes it harder to eat them. Second, we want to feed them. This principle is surprising. I had several aunts who had big-eyed cows in the kitchen and little tots figures in the bathroom towels. I thought it was pretty strange and never understood why people like this until I learned this survival principle. I realized that it was neither cows nor tots. What they were looking for were things with wide foreheads and big eyes. So even thought Mickey Mouse is the most boring character of all. He is the king of all characters. Let's see who applied this principle in industrial design. It is a company that makes a car that deeply connects with us emotionally. These two cars have the most accurate principle of neoteny applied. That is, when these cars pass by, you want to grab them. It is more relevant to the market of this car that it has an iPod dock system than anything else, including house power, saving gas, and security. You're telling me that people spend $17,000 for an iPod connector? The answer is yes. In many countries like this, like where Volkswagen sales rise because the fact that you could connect your music to the stereo system with a US memory. The proof of this is that if you have a friend with a Jetta, ask him why he bought it. Maybe he doesn't say it's the first reason for buying it, but for sure it is the second. Owners always talk about connecting their music in USB. Are people crazy? No, they just can't express what they want. Ford has for more than a decade. Ford has so many years a new success like Taurus. And haven't get it. They probably ask people what they want in their next car. And the truth is that very few know what they really want in their car. You may believe you know, but you really don't know. The Pepsi challenge. They spent millions and millions of dollars around the world to show that Pepsi taste is better than Coca-Cola. Because surely a recognized marketeer who sold the idea that proving and presenting the results that Pepsi tastes better than Coca-Cola will detonate Pepsi sales. For this reason, the executives were confused. It did not happen. Millions of people around the world said they liked Pepsi more than Coke, but how they rationalized the reason, the effect, wasn't good enough to switch in that moment. I'll show you a video for you to see. Please check audio, please. We had to turn off the lights. Okay, there we go. I will show you a video for you guys to see how blind you guys are. This exercise is of a colleague of mine to show how blind we are. It is a short video. The first things I'll ask is that you should pay close attention and carefully count how many times the white team passes the ball to a teammate. Count the number of times and try to observe carefully what you see. Then I will show you what happens in the exercise.
Business illusion. Count how many times the players wearing white pass the ball. The correct answer is 16 passes. Did you spot the gorilla? For people who haven't seen or heard about a video like this before, about half missed the gorilla. If you knew about the gorilla, you probably saw it. But did you notice the curtain changing color or the player on the black team leaving the game? Let's rewind and watch it again. Here comes the gorilla, and there goes a player, and the curtain is changing from red to gold. When you're looking for a gorilla, you often miss other unexpected events. And that's the monkey business illusion. Learn more about this illusion and the original gorilla experiment at theinvisiblegorilla.com.
What is so surprising is that many times we see things, but we really not observe them. This is how, through techniques and technologies, we can really know what people are observing. Later on, I will show you a technology that was just invented that allows us to quantify what consumers are looking at. So why are we blind? That is the question. Why are we so blind? I'll give you some idea of why I think we are so blind. First, lack of humility. We think we know everything. Second, we do not believe in social science and less in biology. We are totally outdated. How many universities in the world don't teach biology as part of their marketing career? It's weird to me that we have proved that the best way to deliver sales activation is through biological marketing strategies. 3. Traditional research methods are not enough to innovate. 4. We do not stop to think. We don't have time, and that is why these conferences are so important in the life of marketeers and business leaders, because you remain still for an hour or two, learning something new. Tomorrow when you go back to your desk, you can implement it properly. 5. Universities have confused us. It's sad to say, even the most advanced universities are between 5 and 10 years behind what we're doing today. Things change so fast that universities don't have the same momentum to be able to react. This is going so fast, universities can't catch it. This is a neural proof that impact the world of business, research, and marketing. 85% of decision-making process in your life is subconscious. It means that you are aware of only 15% of the decision-making process of any decision you make in your life. Be who you marry, where you will live, what car you will buy, what tie you wear today, or why you like more Lisa than Stephanie. 85% is subconscious. Harvard, in one of its documents, says that it could be up to 95%. So I say to you, don't believe to me, believe to Harvard. The consumers are so confused. Are consumers what they want? It is better to observe, study, analyze, but do not ask because of you aren't trained. The only thing it will do is to confuse you because the consumers lie. That's why we can't express correctly, so we lie. Let me give you an example. Let's have a practical workshop to see how we lie. Please raise your hand if you are married. People that are married, please raise your hand. Okay. About 70% of the audience is married. Okay, now please raise your hand if you had cheated at least once in the marriage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In this country, or people is very loyal, or you are liars. Only 2 people said that they had been cheating. That's what happens when you ask something to a consumer. He thinks he knows why, but she or he has an alibi. We don't accept the truth. We are afraid. Ask a woman if she cooks for her kids, and her answer is of course yes. So ask, what did you give them this week? And she'll answer one thing and another. Perfect. And you thank her. Then you invite her kids to come into the interview, and you question them. What did your mom cook for you this week? They answer, nothing. That's why it's a self-defense and social survival mechanism. So we look to the obvious, and the obvious is not real knowledge. That supports a correct process of innovation. We don't see the symbols. To see them, it's extremely difficult. I ask you a question. Why do you think that gold is the metal most valued by mankind? Many of you may think it's because countries are backed by the gold standard. That is not necessarily true, because they could back up their economy in oil, in white gold, and in other things that can even be more expensive. Gold is the most important metal in human life, but it isn't the most scarce metal, nor it is the most expensive, the brightest, or the most resistant. Men have valued gold for thousands of years because of its symbolic meaning. Gold has a symbolic connection to the sun, to God, and power, and that is why people value it. We are the only species that reacts to symbols. We have a symbolic thinking. Jim gives Stacy an engagement ring, and when it's on her hand and she sees it, it sends a symbolic message. Not because it is divine, beautiful, or expensive, but because the powerful symbolic meaning that makes it so important in her life. It sends a message to the brain, and this sends a set of chemicals or dopamine that make the heart start beating faster and also activates her curiosity. Now Stacy asks Jim, darling, where did you buy it? How you see, the symbolic value of this ring can be, he cares a lot for me, he gives me the best, protection. He spent a lot of time and effort to find it, union. But when she asked, darling, where did you buy it? Surprise. The meaning changed. She doesn't like the ring anymore. The ring, the product is the same. It has not changed, but now she does not like it. As I say, products are more powerful because of their meaning than for what they are. What do people really look at? I will invite my assistant to handle me and help me connect these eyeglasses. These look like some eyeglasses, toy eyeglasses, but they are serious technology. Let me explain what they are. These eyeglasses are the latest technological advance to know what people are looking at. They aren't to see them naked. These lenses are Swedish. The brand is Tabi eyeglasses. These eyeglasses, this technology looks cheap, but it starts at $40,000. It costs more than a car. These eyeglasses have two components: a camera in this point and an infrared beam here. The technology throws an infrared beam to the glass to see my pupil and bounces back, and that's why the computer can measure the pupil size and how you blink, and this way it knows if my emotions are connected and what I'm looking at exactly. These eyeglasses can tell you exactly what I'm looking at, where my eyes are looking to. If I see the man's notebook or your red shirt or your haircut, the computer points it with the red. So if you wear these eyeglasses and you enter to a store or start walking around the city, the computer tells you exactly what you're seeing, the percentage of times you're seeing these different things, the exact statistic. It's even able to detect if emotions are being triggered or not. The unit records every detail that I have seen. My assistant will check out the information, render the information in his computer, and further on we will see exactly what I looked at and what kind of statistics we could observe of this amazing technology. Mindcode did not invent anything. Its power is the ability to integrate the Mindcode process. And what we did was to borrow the best knowledge of the human mind from these geniuses: Sigmund Freud, psychoanalyst; Edward Bernays, Freud's nephew and the first advertiser on the face of Earth; Carl Jung, psychoanalyst; Freud's friend and enemy; Gerald Salzman, director of the Mind Institute of Harvard; Richard Dawkins, from whom I learned the most in human behavior and biology. We are very similar to animals, sometimes more animals than animals. Polly McLean, who is no longer with us, 1952, the theory of the human brain, which is the backbone of Mindcode analysis process. This is very old. The theory is outdated because we know that there are much more areas in the brain, and I agree. As this is a business conference, I will explain it to you in a practical and basic way. The human brain theory. When we search for the code, we must fully understand that there are biological codes, cultural codes, and in the middle of both, they are symbolic codes. The most powerful is the symbolic code. It comes from the collective unconscious of the masses to find the identical biological behavior of many as well as the cultural behavior. The cultural code is small but affects seriously the result. The biological part is larger than the cultural part, and between the two we will find the symbolic code, and when you push back the code to the collective unconscious, you will connect to people and self. The human brain theory tells us the following. We have 3 brains. And if you want to use them in the marketing world, welcome. But they are even more effective if you want to use them for marriage for more than 10 years. The first brain is the cortex. The cortex, the functional, logical, analytical, and the brain of men. More rational. Men are hunters. You cannot hunt a deer with emotion. You have to hunt in silence, making up strategies. If not, the beast will hunt you. This part of the brain is the only one that has the ability to talk, to verbalize. If you ask him, he will answer. In proportion, it is only 15% of the decision process. The limbic brain is where emotions live, fears and feelings. It's more a woman brain. It's thousands of times more powerful in the decision process than the rational cortex. Are women smarter than men? In some ways, yes, because they are more limbic. When have you heard that fathers have a sixth sense? No. That's moms. The sixth sense is in the limbic brain. This brain has a limitation. It does not speak. So it does not lie. The others speak and lie a lot. The most interesting thing is this brain is the subconscious. The proof that you all have the limbic brain is that if I play a song that you used to listen or dance 10 years ago, you will remember a person of the past that you wouldn't remember in other conditions. You will be surprised how quickly you will remember that person just by smelling or hearing something. It is the most powerful memory system that generates an emotional positioning of any category or product. The third brain, the most powerful of all, is the reptilian. Why men and women are together is the reptilian brain, the brain of survival. Cortex R, reproduction, domination, defense, protection. That means that one brain thinks, other brain feels, and the other reptilian one only acts. If we develop an innovative strategy, the innovation must connect with which of the 3 brains the most? The reptile, the animal, the instinct, because it's the most thirsty one and you have no control of it. Let me give you an example. Remember a common accountant in a company. It is the company party. Let's see what happens with Robert. The accountant arrives and takes a drink, and you realize Robert speaks. Then Robert takes 3 more drinks, and you say, Robert knows how to tell jokes. Then he takes 5 shots, and you say, Robert knows how to dance. Look how he moves his hips. Then he drinks 8 drinks, and you say, watch, Robert grabbed the butt of the wife of the president. When the husband complained, he even hit the owner, and he was fired. What a surprising behavior, because Robert is a very serious and responsible person. That's what happens. In a recent study I did for Bacardi, we discovered that alcohol first makes the cortex go to sleep. After this, the limbic system goes to sleep, and when the 2 are deep in sleep, the reptile gets out of the cage. So if men want an excuse for being unfaithful, all they have to say is that last night they were drunk. Since alcohol puts the core values to sleep, so you do strange things. There are men who only need 2 drinks to be unfaithful, but others don't even have to drink. Men and women are very different, so it's curious that we innovate and we create one strategy for both, considering we are completely different. That's why it's so hard to understand each other. We speak the same language, but it's coded differently. Men speak using their cortex and women talk more from the limbic, and that's why we don't catch the point. Check out this. We have done studies that discovered women speak about 14,000 words a day and men only 4,000. That's why when you get home and our beautiful spouse comes out and greets us and asks, my love, how are you? We answer, good. What did you do? Nothing. But weren't you with Robert? Yes. And what did he say? Nothing. So we need a beer, some football, and the remote control. They continue speaking to us when we are watching the game, and then when we fail to speak, they start nagging us. Why don't you tell me anything? When you were with my boyfriend, blah, 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 you know that. Women simply have to understand that our biology makes us have less words. We are different and we run out of the words. That's why in the night we can't talk anymore. We are different. We are very different. If you arrive home very loving and you ask your wife, my love, how did it go today? Who were you with? You can put 5,000, 6,000 words. And if you do not speak with your wife, you better have minutes on the cell for her to talk to her mother, her sister, sister-in-law, because she has to finish all her words. I was married to a woman who spoke 22,000 words a day. We were so different. To discover what women love, we study and ask women to make a choice. We research 350 women in this process. Let's do this exercise with you girls. Only women, please. It's only for women. They must choose between three things. You have to be sure you will give up of two and you will stay with one for 5 long years. Be sure what you're going to choose. The first are kisses and hugs. You understand? When you go in the research process, kisses and hugs. We want kisses and hugs. The second, very good sex with anyone, anywhere, whatever, in the position you want, in, out, all the day, with whatever. You choose what you want. The third, a lot, but I mean a lot of shopping. Every day, all the days. Miami, New York, Dubai, Paris, Rio de Janeiro. All the shoes you want, beauty treatments, surgery, jewelry, watches, whatever. Shoes. No? You could buy everything, accessories, whatever you want. Shopping. 92% of women say it's shopping. We have to be stupid to do this study with men. You get it? If we will do this study with men, 99.9% of them would have said sex. And the remaining 0.1% is probably a eunuch or who knows what, you know? I think it's funny too. You guys are laughing. I think behavior and life is funny. I'm currently offering innovation coaching to one of the most important shopping centers in your country. And I told these guys, we have to get in the shopping center a motel. And they asked me, why? Why a motel? I answered, because a man will tell his wife, my love, come on, I'll buy you shoes and then you will make me love. The best tip of the day is that if you want good sex, give good shopping. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks. Okay, thank you so much. Imprint is the brain mark. This concept is a very powerful concept. It means mark. A mark in a brain. I could imprint or mark your mind. You have imprint many things in your life, but when you are young, it's easier. From 1 to 8 years, your brain is easier to imprint at that age. Imprints govern your emotional behavior for the rest of your life. For example, do you remember what you were doing or with who you were when this event happened? Most of us remember it. It was so powerful for our mind in our lives that it sealed into our memory. The imprints are made when you live a strong emotion and experience. This marks your brain for a lifetime. Memories and imprints are the 80% of our emotional connection. A lot of experience and emotion marks you. They are several significant imprints. New or recent imprints, those we are given in childhood, in youth, and in adulthood. For example, if you come here and on the way you are hit by a car, every time you pass by, you will remember for the rest of your life the moment. That will imprint you for all your life. That's why it's so important to discover that and how you have been imprinted, because when you do, you understand how people are connected or not connected to your product or your service. Okay, let's continue with the presentation. This is a very successful case study of symbolic illumination. I would love to share with you some of the big cases of major brands we work for, but they are very confidential and we respect that very much. However, there are some case studies that companies have given us permission to share. Here's a case that involves a small brand, but this is a unique case. It's a case study of symbolic innovation. It's very easy to understand the concept. The case study starts like this. Let's see a little bit. The company calls me and tells me, Jürgen, we are about to receive in our country the strongest dog food brand, and we're afraid because we are not doing so well in the business. We are kind of afraid, and if they come in and they take a smaller percentage in the total market share, we may disappear. And so we had to find the code of dog food for people who love their pets. So we went in these houses, we went to live with these people, and we started observing them, and we underwent the whole process. And the first thing we discovered is that they don't see a dog. They do not have a dog. They really don't understand they are feeding a dog. They have Bobby, baby, kid, boyfriend. They have several things. They have one person more in the family. So if you do a TV commercial, TV ad that says the new dog food for dogs, for champion dogs, they say, hi, to who are you talking? I don't have a dog. You're not respecting me. You almost could say that this is disrespectful to the family member. It made me curious because I have no dogs, and truthfully, I saw them like very strange people. What an amazing case. We discovered if they could, they will feed their dog with frosted flakes, sirloin, ribeye. They want their dogs to eat the same thing as they do, but since that will be too expensive and probably that will have a sick dog. But how they can stop this, they have to buy dog food, and that makes them feel guilty because of buying dog food for the dog because he is not a dog. So we confirmed the hypothesis. They do feel bad, and we concluded that the code for dog food for this segment is dispel the guilt. The clue was stop selling dog food and start selling dispel the notion of guilt. Come on, you may think I'm on drugs, but no. Our discoveries are always like this. They deliver amazing subconscious concepts to implement, innovate, roll out, build powerful brands that connect. It's amazing how the human mind works this way, and that meant that the bag and the TV ad did not have to be about dog food. This case study, very successful case study, remains, and this company is using this successful concept for the last 8 years. To roll out the code, we decoded a package of Kellogg's Frosted Flakes and realized that this package has a clear semiotic structure, some elements and contents that the brain registers. For example, in this semiotic structure, the brain sees Frosted Flakes pointing up, the icon talking about the vitamins, Tony the tiger behind the product on the plate, or the food on the plate. You know, Tony behind the food with the logo on the top of his head. You get it? There is a structure. That's the structure of Frosted Flakes. I know I could change the contents, but I must respect the structure so that the brain is connected to human food. That's what we did with the dog food and the package of the dog food. We changed and sales went up. The package had the same semiotics like Frosted Flakes. And that's why the mind started connected and sales went up. The package of the dog food had the same structure, the same subliminal structure than Frosted Flakes. What is so funny is that no one is ever going to say that is buying dog food because it looks like Frosted Flakes, because that will say, now these guys are really crazy. But the brain is connected emotionally to the packaging because it looks like the food you eat. This is what I call subconscious marketing. That's the power. If you want to check the eye tracker results and video, I will upload them in my website, www.jurgenklarić.us. Jürgen, Jurgen, Okay. And to finish, here comes the big question. I remember those discussions where people were saying that there were subliminal message when you played songs backwards. You know, the AC/DC record. You know, they also were saying that the eyes of Backer the ad, there was a picture of a woman that was there naked, and people was buying because of this. That's stupid. But what is absolutely truth is that the subliminal communication exists. Yes, everything's subliminal. Everything is subliminal. Animals communicate in a subliminal way. If subliminal communication wouldn't exist, it would be very difficult for human beings to communicate. So I invite you to open your eyes. Open your eyes, so that's why I invite you to open your eyes. Yes, open your eyes, because to the degree you open your eyes who are filled of feelings and fears, when making decisions, you will be challenged at this event. Above all, compete, win, achieve. If you achieve this, you will survive and you will achieve amazing results. Thank you. Open your eyes. Thank you. It will be easier.
Okay.